I'm 43, and women in perimenopause like I am, you don't need to be doing that punishing exercise. You're not doing yourself a favor by just pushing your body and stressing it out. I don't work out as hard. I eat all day long, and I've maintained a 20, 25-pound weight loss through 2 pregnancies, and it's easier.
So, how do you recommend that women start with all of this?
I would start where I started with.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today, Erin. I've got the wonderful Erin Washington on the podcast with me, and I'm really excited to chat with her today because I was on her podcast a couple of weeks ago and it was a really great conversation. And I discovered that she's got a really interesting story that I think will be really inspiring for all our listeners. So, welcome, Erin. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So, I want to start by getting a good understanding of what your story is and how you came to do what you do now and kind of be the health advocate that you are.
Yes, it's hilarious to be even considered a health advocate when you think about what I used to do to my body. I struggled for almost 2 decades, I would say from about 16 to 36, with body image, multiple eating disorders. And as a result of those, having really no self worth because I had it kind of all wrapped up in my physical body. A lot of it stems from soccer. I played since I was 4, and it was my identity. And I was so driven to succeed in soccer that I was anorexic in high school because I thought thin was like fit for soccer. And then went into exercise bulimia where I would jot down all the calories that I would eat and then go work off the exact amount of calories, trying to be as skinny as possible. I went on to play Division I college soccer. And when my college career ended, I fell into depression and bulimia because I was still eating like a Division I athlete, but I was no longer playing. And I thought that throwing up my food at one point would be a good way to lose the weight. But what it became was something that I struggled with for 10 years. So I finally came out, we can get into all of like the details, but when I came out of the eating disorders and abusing my body, I thought I was doing it the quote right way. I wasn't, I was still kind of counting calories. Admittedly, I was barely eating, but what women are taught, calories in versus calories out. So I was absolutely under eating, over exercising, and very frustrated that I was doing everything right, but I couldn't lose weight. So a trainer at my gym kind of got me to get on board with eating more and maybe not working out as much. And it was very hard for me to get behind it because, again, that's all women are taught their whole lives. And eating more to lose weight, it didn't compute in my brain. So anyone else is listening to this and is like, yeah, exactly. You have to trust me and know that I was just as skeptical. And once I started eating more and not really punishing my body as much, I've maintained, I don't know, I don't have a scale anymore, but let's call it a 25-pound weight loss for the past 10-ish years and through 2 pregnancies. And I wrote my first book, Squats and Margaritas, A Journey to Finding Balance, to the woman who was working out and not seeing results and shared the formula. So now it's like I feel like I have the answer and I just want to share it with all the women that are struggling because they feel like they're doing everything right.
Yeah, and I think so many of our listeners will be able to resonate with that. I know that most of the women that I work with are in that position where they're literally doing everything. They've tried everything. They could not be working harder when it comes to, doing loads of exercise. They're living off child's portions, they're really starving themselves and they're not losing weight. And all they get from their doctors is, oh, well, try harder, or oh, it's just your age, or it's menopause. And I feel like people don't believe me when I tell them that I get my clients to eat more and actually do less exercise or scale back the intensity of the exercise, and then they start losing weight because it allows their body to heal and repair. So perhaps you could
Louise,
speak a little bit to your experience on that.
I believe you. And I didn't believe you before. It doesn't sound right because it's like eat more to lose weight. I was like, okay, you're trying to sabotage me. The only reason I believe that trainer is because, like you said, I had tried everything else. I could not work harder. And when I was explaining to him, yeah, I barely eat, I just eat salads and I do cardio every day and I can't lose weight. as a professional, he was like, yeah, like you just have to eat more. Like he got it. He's like, you're over exercising. And we can get into like when you are training so hard, the cortisol, that stress hormone that comes with that, I lived in a state of cortisol because I was so frustrated and just pushing and punishing myself. Cortisol makes you hold on to fat, especially around your belly. So, like you just said, it's like when you can get people to just kind of calm down a little bit, then they lose weight. It almost feels like I'm cheating now. I can
Mm,
completely relate to that. I'm not trying as hard. I eat all day long. I'm mindful. There is a point where there's an intuitive part to it where I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm satisfied, but I eat all day long. And before, there were so many rules. It was like, I'm hungry, but it's not lunchtime yet. So I
yeah.
would wait. And you throw off your metabolism because your body is sending you a cue that you're hungry and you're ignoring that cue. And then, I mean, me with bulimia, like I had thrown off my hunger cue so much. It's like, you feel like you can't trust your body. Or it's like, what if I'm hungry, but what if I eat and I can't stop eating? And if you just acknowledge hunger cues, both of them, when you're hungry and when you're satisfied, you can maintain your weight and not try as hard.
Mm,
And it does take eating more to repair a metabolism that has been destroyed by years, for me, 20 years of all the diets. You have to almost teach your body how to burn again. And you do that by eating more. And if someone's like, oh, I don't know, I can't trust myself, you don't need to eat bad food. I hate saying clean or bad, but eat the healthiest stuff you can think of. Like eat well, but eat often. Eat
yeah.
way more than you're eating. Eat every couple hours. You'll start to feel hungry again. You go turn back on your metabolism. And then the other piece is the exercise. Like, especially, I'm 43, and women in perimenopause, like I am, you don't need to be doing that punishing exercise. I don't know. I had this wonderful expert, Louise Digby. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she was just on my podcast and teaching me all about this, where you have to slow down. And it's like you're not doing yourself a favor by just pushing your body and stressing it out because, like we said, cortisol. And it's very hard to buy in because it's not what we're taught. But I am here today to tell you that if you trust me, and like I trust that trainer, I don't work out as hard. I eat all day long, and I've maintained a 25 pound weight loss through 2 pregnancies, and it's easier.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much easier when you're not battling the hunger
Yes.
and the cravings.
Yes.
It's not the
It doesn't feel
miserable
fair. It's like,
experience.
this isn't fair. I was working so hard and I was 25 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Now I don't work as hard. It doesn't sound right, but you're working against yourself. You can like overwork so much that you shut off your metabolism, and we like your body believes it's starving. If you're not eating and your body is working out that much, your body goes into starvation mode and is not going, the last thing it's going to do is burn, because it's like, oh my God, here she goes again. She's about to go work out. It's not going to burn. If your body trusts that food is going to be coming in often, it burns. It's like it trusts you again. And maybe you have dieted yourself so much to the point where your body doesn't trust you. And if it knows that food is coming in, fuel, it will start burning and try and not have to hold on to it. And the other part of that is like it's holding on to fat, not muscle. So if you're trying to build muscle and you're working hard, your body believes that muscle is like not necessary to keep you alive. So
Mm.
your body, if you're starving, is going to start like burning your muscle that you've worked so hard for and holding on to fat, storing the fat to keep you alive. You have to get back on track where your body trusts you. Food is coming in often, so it's okay to burn. We're not starving. We don't have to hold on to everything. And it was just such a mind switch from what I thought was a way to maintain my weight.
Yeah. So how did you make that mind switch? Because I certainly experience a lot of resistance from women that I work with, or even people that reach out to me and they say, I'm so sick of being told that I need to eat more. I try eating more and nothing works. So I cut back and nothing works.
Yeah,
And obviously, these things take time and you very much have to trust the process. So, how
yeah.
did you kind of make that mindset switch?
Great question. Again, I had no other choice. I was like, fine, this isn't working how I'm doing it. So this trainer downloaded MyFitnessPal, and I'm sure there's lots of macro tracking apps. Macros are the things that make up calories, fats, proteins, and carbs. It told me what my body needed to run optimally. And when he put in my weight, my lifestyle, what I wanted to weigh, what I was eating, I learned that I was under eating by 900 calories a day.
Ah,
And I guess I bought in when I saw the data. I'm a data girl. He's like, look at this. Like, if he could show me your body needs more food. So when I saw the numbers, and then I also saw the breakdown of I was not eating enough protein. Protein is good for satiety. It keeps hunger off and keeps you full longer. So I wasn't eating enough protein. So that's why I was feeling hungry. And I was not eating enough calories altogether. Also found out I was eating way too much sugar. So just having that knowledge and seeing it in the numbers, you're under eating. I was like, I'll try it. And then I could not lose an ounce, Louise. Like, I weighed myself every day. I would like go up and I was so frustrated. When I did this, I lost like 5 pounds in a couple weeks. So I bought in and was like, okay. So I'm like, let's keep going. But I do want to say there was a time where I was too obsessed with the macros where I got back into the cortisol and the stress because I was in that app. Like, I didn't get 30 grams. You have to find a balance where you're aware. So I knew I'm not eating enough and I need more protein, a little less sugar. I had that knowledge, but don't live and die by it because then you're right back in that cortisol and that's working against you and you're holding on to fat. So my buying in was seeing the data, putting in my information, seeing that I was under eating, trusting it, and then seeing that 5 pounds came off. So I stuck with it. But I had to get through that point where it was too obsessive. Like, learn your macros, don't live and die by your macros.
I completely agree. And that's what I preach as well. I think it's incredibly informative and very helpful to get a good starting point to see where are you at? Are you massively under eating? Are you hitting your macros roughly? It doesn't have to be
Yes.
perfect. And once you know where you are, then you've got that starting point to work from. You can build on that and you don't need to obsessively track. A tracking, here and there every now and then can be helpful, but yeah, we certainly don't need to be getting stressed out about it because that's another thing that I see all the time, either getting stressed out about not hitting the macros, not being able to hit your macros, or hitting your macros and the scale's not moving, and just the
Yes.
the whole vicious cycle of getting worked up about kind of micromanaging your diet and then feeling stressed about it. That makes your body hold on to weight even more, and then you just
Yes.
repeat that cycle over and over. So I think
Oh
you've
my
got to
gosh.
be a big part of listening to your body and being intuitive is also listening to how are these methods working for you in terms of how do they make you feel. If they cause more stress than they're kind of in terms of the solutions that they're giving you, then it might not be the best way to do it. And we have to be very adaptable, I think, with the way that we are approaching things.
I am so glad that you said that because there was another point to that about the stress. That my first book was Squats and Margaritas, A Journey to Finding Balance. And it's the balance changed everything for me. Like I mentioned, all the rules. I would have like drinking days where I only drank on Saturdays. So all week, all I wanted was wine. And I would think about it. And then Saturday, I would drink way too much wine. Sunday, I was hungover, start over on Monday. Balance is a lifestyle, it's not a start stop. And this, correct me if this is the wrong thing to, because you're a nutritionist, but like before, sometimes on podcasts, I'll be like, everything is allowed. And they're like, not everything is allowed. Here's how I look at it as someone who used to be anorexic and bulimic. When everything is allowed, it's less tempting. It's not up on a pedestal. It's not the only thing you think of. And then when you can have it, you're less likely to binge. Like, I would have to be like, oh, I'll eat clean during the week. And then on the weekends, I can eat all the cookies and it's a cheat day or whatever. So I'll eat the whole box because I can't have it on Monday. When it's something that's allowed, you can have one cookie and stop because you know you can have it tomorrow. You know you can have it later. And then you don't want it as much. When it's off limits, that's all you want. So I say have an indulgence, something that you love every day, not after every meal, but like for me, a margarita, because I can have a margarita every day if I want, I don't have two or three, and it's not leading to a binge. And again, it may not be like what a nutritionist would teach, but if there's someone listening that has dealt with disordered eating and the rules, try just allowing it and it makes it less tempting. So, squats and margaritas was finding that balance of having that daily indulgence. Like I said, eating more. And then the last piece of it, if we can go to that next, is muscle. I was a cardio bunny. Like, all I wanted to do was sweat. I thought you had to sweat. And I would just be on the elliptical for like 90 minutes, admittedly, sometimes twice a day, sweat, sweat. Men are in the weight room. We're just supposed to burn and sweat. My trainer too was like, you only do cardio. Do you lift? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to get bulky. Like, I don't want to be like big. And everybody right now is probably picturing that big, bulky weightlifter lady who does not look like that naturally and eats a very specific diet to look like that. Your body as a woman and the amount of testosterone that you have is not going to bulk. Like, if you think of a man, how hard they go to the gym and take all their supplements to bulk, your body's not just going to like bulk on its own with you strength training. It is a game changer, putting muscle on your body. You can eat more because muscle is the most metabolically active tissue. The more that you have, the more that you burn. I put a lot of muscle on my body and I lift heavy. You're not going to bulk. Trust me. You're going to tone finally, because I would be like, okay, I'll lift, but I'm just going to do like small weights. And because I don't want to bulk, I never had any muscle tone until I started lifting heavy. Now like I said, I eat all day long because my metabolism is like revved because of the muscle I put on my body. So the squats and margaritas lifestyle that changed everything for me was eating more often, having a daily indulgence so you don't feel deprived and you don't quit. You just, it's not as tempting. It's part of your lifestyle, and lift heavy. And it's the opposite of my whole life. Barely eat, over exercise, don't have sweets. Like, it was just, I switched it to squats and margaritas. It's sustainable. You can lose weight on a diet, but once you go off that diet, if you're not committed to living that way for the rest of your life, it's going to come back on. But if you can make it a lifestyle change, you can maintain it. I mean, I've done it, and I wrote a book and I kept saying, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a trainer, but I was a professional at having eating disorders and have figured out a formula and completely understand like the skepticism that, no, that's not right. No, it's this. Try it. Try finding something like a lifestyle of balance where you allow things that you want. So you never want to quit. It doesn't feel tempting. Put muscle on your body, eat more often, and watch what happens.
I completely agree. It's such a good message, and this all stuff that I really try and drum into my clients as well. And just to speak to what you said about, you don't know whether nutritionists would recommend eating a bit of everything.
Yeah.
I definitely do recommend that. I don't know
Ooh,
whether nutritionists generally do, but I definitely do kind of recommend taking away the rules, and unless you've got a food intolerance or something like that, or an allergy where you really
sure.
can't eat a food, but generally allowing yourself to have anything and more focusing on what you can eat, focusing on all the good stuff and making sure you get enough of that as your priority. And then if there's other things that are not so nutritious, then
Yeah.
that's fine. But we just want to make sure that we do get the things in that we do
Yes.
need, the proteins and the beneficial fats and the fibers.
Yes. And if somebody's like, it has to be off limits, you don't know me, I will binge. I used to eat to the point where I would throw up my food, like binge on cakes and ice cream. I hear you, but that's when it wasn't allowed.
Mm.
It's such a mind shift. Like I said, if it's allowed, you have to try it. It's not as tempting. I always thought like I have to eat it, I have to finish it because tomorrow's not a cheat day. It was like all these rules. And when you get rid of them, food is fuel. Food should be neutral. It's not good or bad. Like you said, if you start your day with protein, you're not going to be as like ravenous and reaching for a quote unquote bad food. But when you don't think of it as off limits or not allowed, it's truly not as tempting. And I was talking to somebody the other day. He's like, I tell my clients, eat what you want. And they're like, well, when can I have a brownie? He's like, I say, you can have a brownie now. You can have a brownie later today. And if you want, you can have a brownie tonight. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, the next time we meet, they're like, well, I don't really want a brownie. He's like, yes. Like, you can have 3 brownies, but you don't want 3 brownies. You're only eating the 3 brownies because the rule is that you can't have them the next day. Get rid of the rules. Say, like the drinking, I'd be like, I have wine in my fridge, but tomorrow's not a drinking day. So I have to finish the wine because today is a drinking day. I didn't even want the wine, Louise, but the rules were like, you can't have it tomorrow. Everything is allowed. It brings it down off the pedestal. I get that it's kind of like scary. Like, you won't be tempted to binge. The reason you're tempted to binge is because you're putting it on a pedestal or you're making it off limits. When it's just a part of your lifestyle, there's no reason to binge.
And when you get rid of the rules, you get rid of the guilt because you're not breaking the rules. And the guilt is
Yes.
what really fuels you to keep going, to keep eating because you want to self soothe after
Yes.
feeling so bad about yourself. And it really just makes you eat more of the things that you made the rules about that you weren't going to eat or drink.
It's a
So,
cycle. Yes. It just keeps.
yeah. So
Yes.
if we remove the rules, we remove the guilt, and then we remove a lot of the comfort eating and the self-soothing. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I've been there myself. I've,
Okay.
tried to give up chocolate before. I've tried to give up tea, and the anxiety that I've felt,
Yes.
even just before I've cut it out, the anxiety that I feel about just the thought of doing that is crazy to me. And actually, once I like gave up with that and stopped trying to give up chocolate, I just started eating less of it anyway.
Yes, that. And like you said, the anxiety, stress. And then we're back on the cortisol train. Like I lived in a constant state of stress. If we were going to a restaurant, I would pull up the menu and be like, is there anything that I can eat? I would not book a hotel that didn't have a gym. I would go on vacation with my family and I'm like setting an alarm to get my run in. And it's all the obsession that you think is so like honorable because you're going to get in shape that's working against you because it's
Mm-hmm.
too much stress. And if you just listen to your body, like it's really rainy and gross right now. I'm looking outside. I love walking, but I'm probably not going to go for a walk. And before I'd be like, put on a hat, but you have to walk. It's like stressing my body, like get it in. It's fine. Like I'm kind of tired as we were talking off camera. Maybe I'll take a nap. Maybe that is what my body needs. So
Mm.
listening to what your body needs and not just punishing it because you think that's how you're going to get results.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you recommend that women start with all of this? Because we've talked about a lot of different things. It might feel a bit overwhelming to know where to start with all of this. So what's the best place to start?
I would start where I started with download an app that and figure out your macros because that it changed everything for me. You will, and you may be right on, but at least you would have something to cross off. Look at what you're eating first. How much, not so much, what's off limits, like we said, but like maybe you're not getting enough protein and you're eating too much because you're so hungry. That can be fixed with having protein at breakfast and making sure you're hitting your protein. Again, don't be obsessive about it, but know it. Knowing my macros really did change everything for me, but don't live and die by it. If you are working out 7 days a week, go down to 3 or 4. And I'm sure somebody's like, oh, I can't. Trust me, you are overworking. And especially if you're strength training, your body is not going to build muscle if you lift every day. So if there's somebody that's not taking rest days, the rest days are just as beneficial as the strength training days because that's when your muscles repair.
Mhm.
So you saying I only worked out 4 times this week instead of 7, like it's a lesser thing, it's actually a win. Take them strategically, take rest days, definitely incorporate strength training into your routine. If you're going to the gym and just going to the elliptical, here's what I say too. Look around at the gym. The woman with the body that you're probably trying to achieve on the elliptical is not on the elliptical. She's in the weight room and
Mm.
she's lifting heavy. Look how much she's lifting. So obviously don't go and pick up a 50-pound weight, but gradually increase your weights. If you're doing weights and that's the same like amount of sets and the same weights you've been doing for 2 years, your body's not getting the benefit. So slowly go up a couple pounds, lift heavier than you are now, figure out your macros and stop over exercising. Like don't feel like it's a loss if you didn't work out every day. You're actually the rest day is just as beneficial. So
Mhm.
that's where I would say lift heavier, figure out your macros, don't live and die by them, and it sounds work out less, but like don't work out as many times a day. If you're on the cardio machine, get off, go to the weight room. I just got a sauna recently, an infrared sauna, and it's like it mimics a cardio workout. You're getting like the heart benefits and the cardiovascular, and you're sweating. So maybe I'm telling you, the cardio is not where it's at. I thought it was for so long. Lift. You will change your body. You may not change the weight on the scale. First of all, you should just smash your scale with a hammer. Don't worry about a scale. Worry about how your clothes fit. And you could weigh the same, but when you put muscle on your body, it's more compact and it takes up less space. So you could be smaller, putting on the muscle. And I don't want someone to like, but I'm gaining weight. You're not gaining weight. It's smaller. You're changing your body. It may weigh the same, but it is smaller and compact and looks better. So go by the way your clothes fit and just, I mean, squats and margaritas. Like that's what I would tell them.
Yeah, and one of the things that I always say about muscle is that you're gaining muscle doesn't mean it's getting bigger, it means it's getting leaner, like you've said. And I think
Yes.
a good visual is when you think about streaky bacon. Your streaky bacon is essentially muscle that has fat streaked through it. That's what your muscles look like if you're not doing weights, if you're not lifting. And once you start doing more weights and you start doing less cardio, then your muscles are going to lean out and they're going to become nice, strong, firm muscles as opposed to muscles that are streaked with fat. So
Love that.
you will gain weight because you're going to replace that fat that's in your muscle with muscle, and muscle is denser. But that's exactly why you need to throw away the scales, because your weight isn't a good representation of the progress that you're making. So
Yes.
throw away the
Real quick too.
scales.
Yeah, nobody knows that number except you. And for so long, that number would dictate my day. Like if I had gained even an ounce, Louise, if I didn't lose, it was a bad day. And nobody else knows that number. And if I don't get on the scale, I won't realize that I gained an ounce. And now it's a regular day or a good day. The scale is not I mean, if we went by like BMI, I'm like, I don't think I'm obese. I'm overweight because I have a ton of muscle on my body. And if
Mm-hmm.
I was still back in my mess, I would have a big problem with that. I don't look at it. I mean, you go by how your clothes feel, or you can take progress photos if you're trying to put on muscle. But I'm telling you, if you are looking for that toned muscle and you're not finding it yet, I'm telling you, you're not lifting enough. You need to lift much heavier. Again, go gradually and do not feel like you're going to bulk. That will not happen. You're going to tone. That muscle tone that you're missing is because you're not lifting enough. And then again, the extra bonus, you can eat more because the more muscle that you have, the more you burn, even at rest on those rest days. Muscle is a game changer. And yes, and throw away your scale.
And something that I want to add to what you were saying before about over exercising is, in case anyone's listening and they perhaps just work out once a week or twice a week, but you're doing cardio, you're going for runs or whatever it might be, it's still going to be beneficial for you to switch to strength training over doing that cardio. And you could still be kind of overdoing it, even if you're only working out once or twice a week. Because if you're someone who is constantly busy, always on the go, you're always running around after the kids, you never get any downtime, never get any me time. And then in your half an hour of the day that you do have to exercise, you're doing a really intense workout. That is just adding stress to your system. So switching that to a lower intensity workout, some days that might be something like yoga to help you wind down. Other days it might be lifting heavy to help you build muscle. So it doesn't matter whether you're exercising every day at the moment or whether it's just once or twice a week, the same principle still applies.
That is so true. You taught me that on my show. It's like I'm a single mom that my kids are in school. They come home from, I do this while they're at school. And then it's like, I didn't get the stress of like, I didn't get my workout in. You're like, that's the last thing that your body needs. Like you're already in a state of stress. You've been running around all day. It's just such a mental thing that like you feel like you have to get it in, but it's just causing more stress. Just move your body. Now I just walk and it's
Mhm.
almost like meditation. I'm not running for times, which I mean, like 5 years ago, I don't know why I would just hold myself to this standard where you had to push and push. And again, I weighed 20 pounds more when I was living that way. And then you're frustrated because you're doing everything right and you can't lose weight. Trust me, anyone that's like frustrated now and can relate to the you're eating right, you're only eating salads, you're barely snacking, you're not eating enough. And anybody that does cardio every day, you don't have enough muscle in your body and you're not giving your body enough rest.
Mm.
And especially someone in their like 40s or 50s, like how you talk about, you're losing muscle. I don't know the percentage, but every year you're losing muscle. So it's like, do what you can now, knowing that you're going to lose muscle as you get into your 40s and 50s and try to counteract that by building it. And, it is what it is, but at least you can proactively put muscle on your body because you're not going to have as much. And that is such a big game changer in like the calorie burning and the metabolism. So just put muscle on your body. Trust me, you will not bulk, you will tone. And the reason you're not seeing the tone is you're not lifting heavy enough.
So good. We need to hear these things over and over again because I think it takes some convincing for a lot of people. We need to
Mhm.
hear it again and again. We need to hear it from multiple different sources before we start to really trust and feel ready to, trust the process and take that step. So it's really, really amazing information that you're sharing. Is there anything else that you feel like you just wish women knew at this stage of life that might help them?
We talked about this on my show, the importance of sleep, where you would maybe get up early, an hour earlier to get in the workout, and your body may benefit more from the sleep. I sleep, even with my kids. Like I go to bed when they do. I get like 9 hours, and if I have time to take a nap, I'm taking a nap. Sleep is your. I saw LeBron James talking about it. It's like putting your body on a charger overnight. Like think of it like you are charging your body. If you are tired and you're going to go get a workout in, like it's basically just listen to your body. Listen to what your body needs. If you're tired, take a nap. If you're hungry, eat. You don't have to eat a ton, but just be mindful of what your body needs. If you haven't gotten your workout in yet today, but and you were supposed to go on a run or do a lift, but you feel like going for a walk, that's your body telling you to slow down. Just be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of living by all the rules and calculating all the calories, listen to your body and just trust that if you give your body fuel when it needs fuel and you stop fueling it when you're satisfied, not full. I'll share this. The visual that I like your stringy bacon, is putting gas in your car. You have
Mm-hmm.
a nice car, you go to the gas station and you put premium fuel in it because you want it to run properly, run optimally. Your body's just like your car. If you're putting crap in your body, it's not going to run optimally. And do you ever go to a gas station and your tank is full, but you just keep going and going? No, you stop. So why would you overfuel your body? Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satisfied, put premium fuel, eat often, and your body, you'll feel good. Your body will run optimally like a car. Like we take better care of our cars and we're more cognizant of what we're doing there than our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just being intuitive, listening to your body. What does your body need? It's not what you're supposed to do. Like,
Yeah.
I have to eat this way and I can't have this. And it's what does your body need? So I think just taking that second to what does my body need right now? Mindfulness has been a game changer for me.
And that kind of leads on quite nicely to what I was just thinking, which is I think sometimes it can be quite difficult to tune into your body when we spend a lot of time scrolling on our phones and we're absolutely rinsing our dopamine. That can make us feel low, it can make us feel tired, it can make us get confused with what our body needs because your body needs dopamine, and so that might give you cravings for comfort foods, or it might make you feel really lethargic. So if you are struggling with listening to your body and you know that you have quite a lot of screen time, it's a good idea to start kind of reining that in a little bit and find other ways to stimulate your brain other than just by doom scrolling. Because I certainly noticed that for myself. I can kind of get all dysregulated where I can't get to bed on time, I can't get up on time, I struggle to find energy in the morning, and I know it's linked to when I'm just working too late or spending too much time on my phone.
That's so true. And like eating in front of your screens, like Netflix, it's like, are you even hungry or are you just eating because there's food still there? You're
Yeah.
not being present and like checking in and intuitive because you're like involved in the show. Like you're looking at the show and you're just eating like mindlessly. If
Mm.
you don't put on the TV, like I always want to like, I'll put on my shows and I'll make dinner and but when you just eat not in front of a screen and just like take bites and are mindful about, it's like, you always eat less, like because you're checked in, you're to the process of it. Like I just for so long would just numb out and not even think. I'm just eating and not even thinking about it because I see food is still there. You have to take that second and listen. Am I still hungry or am I eating because there's still food on the plate and my mind is somewhere else? And it doesn't
Mm.
have to be like sit there and look at every bite. Don't obsess, but just take that second. Am I eating because there's still food on the plate or am I hungry? If you're hungry, obviously eat. But like a lot of time, it's just like our eyes see that there's food. So you're just going to eat till it's gone. But
Mm.
if you're just mindful, you can have what you want. You don't eat a ton of it because you're taking that time to be like, you know what, I'm actually good. I'm satisfied. Or I will order, I don't know if we talked about this, fish tacos. If it is on the menu, it is happening. And I get it with all the things, sour cream, guacamole, everything that comes on it. But they give you like three. I will eat one and I'll check in. Usually I'm not satisfied. I'll eat a second, check in, I'm satisfied. Take the other one home. Before, I would be like fish tacos, but no cheese, no sour cream, no guacamole. I'm eating fish in a tortilla. I eat all three because I've told myself this is the right way to eat and this is healthy. I leave the restaurant deprived because I ate fish in a tortilla and ate more than I would have had I got them the way that they come and just were mindful. I leave the restaurant not deprived because I got fish tacos exactly as they're prepared. That's how I eat now. I'm eating less, but I'm getting what I want. So it's not my sister too. She just always is in my view, this like ideal body. But when I was in my mess, we'd go out to eat and I'd be like a salad with grilled chicken dressing on the side. And she'd be like lobster mac and cheese. And I'd always be like, oh, but I'd watch her and she's mindful. Like she'll eat my lobster mac and cheese, not even half of it, but she's good and satisfied because she got lobster mac and cheese. And
Mm.
she was in the body that I wanted. And I'm leaving after this dry salad, which is thinking I'm doing it right. And I'm 20 pounds heavier. It's not doing it right. Listen to your body, order what you want. If you get what you want, you will be satisfied and you won't want to binge or feel deprived. When I got home from eating fish in a tortilla, I probably binged on something because I felt deprived. Get
Mm.
what you want, listen to your body, and be mindful.
Got to satisfy our bodies and our brains, and then
Yes.
that's when the self-regulation comes automatically.
Self-regulate. It's not as hard. You don't have to, it's not as tempting and like, oh my gosh. Kids too, if you're making everything off limits with your kids, when
Mm.
they go to somebody's house, it's like, oh, you guys have chips and cookies and stuff. And then they're going to binge because they think it's this like exciting food. Food is fuel. And then if they have it at home, they're not going to binge because it's like something that they can have every day.
Yeah.
It's like start it there so that they don't start like noticing your patterns and then they start living like in the mess. Like just eat what you want, be mindful, and watch the temptation kind of just go. Like you said, self-regulation takes over and you'll surprise yourself. Like he was saying, yeah, you can have 3 brownies today. They're like, well, I don't want 3 brownies. Yep, exactly. Because you can have it.
Yeah.
When you can't have it, it's like, well, I want all the brownies and I'm gonna think about it all day long and I'm gonna white knuckle it till 10 o'clock. And I had one, so I broke it. So now I have to eat the whole tray of brownies. That is how I used to live.
Mm. Yeah, and it's exhausting, isn't it? Absolutely
Yes.
exhausting, and just feeds into the cycle.
If you're like Erin, who has battled with food and still finds it impossible to lose weight despite eating less, I want you to hear this. You don't have to suffer anymore. The harsh reality is that starving yourself or pushing your body to exhaustion with endless exercise isn't the answer. Erin learned this the hard way. She pushed through pain only to find it was stressing her body and sabotaging her metabolism. But there's good news. There's a way to break free from this cycle, and it starts with listening to your body. You don't have to fight against it anymore. True, lasting weight loss comes when you understand your body's needs. And I want to help you do just that. My ebook, Reignite Your Metabolism, is here to guide you every step of the way. It's time for a new approach, one that is gentle, compassionate, and aligned with your body. Go to bit.ly/reignite40 to get your copy now. Again, that's bit.ly/reignite40. Inside, you'll find the tools to rebuild your metabolism and embrace a healthier, happier life. The link is also in the show notes. And Erin's story, it's one of incredible resilience. She faced darkness, but now she's thriving because she chose to work with her body instead of against it. If you want to hear more about her journey, follow her on Instagram at I am Erin Washington, or tune into her podcast, Therapy with Erin Washington. Erin also created a non-profit, the Blue Butterflies, to support teen girls struggling with body image and self-worth. These links and Erin's inspiring story are in the show notes. It's time to stop fighting and start healing.